And I want to ask if I
This meeting is
could
being
call
recorded.
Brother O, because that's easiest for me. Is that okay?
Yeah, when I first met him, everyone was calling him Brother O.
Let's use this one.
Can you hear us?
Awesome. Okay. Okay, awesome. So we want to welcome Brother O and Sister Carla today with God Written Love Stories. This series is just an awesome series as we seek to document so many love stories that was written by God. So I know today is going to be a treat, and I know you all are going to really minister to us in sharing your stories, sharing your insights, and sharing things perhaps maybe you wish you knew in that. So we want to go ahead and get started. So the first question is, how did you meet? His version, her version.
Okay. Husband, I think you should start to tell them your version of how we met. I think you should tell them your version of how we met first.
It was May. It was May 1st,
It was May 1st.
2010. It was Mayweather versus mostly, yeah, it was Mayweather. Yeah, that was it. But that it was a fight that Saturday, May 1st, and the brother invited me to fight, just to go watch the fight. And he invited me to a fellowship and stuff like that. And but I told the brother, like, yeah, I have a fight that night. I'm not sure I'll be able to make it. But the brother, insists, to like, hey, if it's the fight, they're gonna show the fight right there, So, but yep, he gave me the address, so I drove down there, and it was a lot of people there, and it was it was, I don't know, it was different. It was a different, different ball game. Was a different scenario because it was like a different session. But anyway, it doesn't really matter to me. But we just gonna watch the fight. As long as the fight is gonna be there, other things doesn't really matter. But so walking there, and this we are the sisters that I already know. I know a couple of them. So we all sit there talking, and yeah, down there in the Betway, brother O, the only one. Then no one else, just me.
Well, as I was saying, they called him Brother O when I first met him. So you are not alone, sis.
So, but anyway, so it was a fun day. Everybody talking, you know, just how people met, see some new faces that I haven't seen before, and see all these brothers and sisters from different congregation, and it was then yeah, it was fun. School Saturday, everybody, kind of in the different corners, some in the kitchen, living room, all this kind of stuff, and but you know, fast forward, I didn't even know how, yeah, I remember I end up in the kitchen. I think somebody asked me, you know, it's like, what's your name? Yeah, it is, brother. Oh, anyway, my name's Sarah. Sarah, oh, just kind of, keep it, short, yeah, that big O, brother O, so yeah, his brother just call me brother O and stuff like that. But yeah, somebody decide to, try to want to show, better than everybody else. Then when the king walk into the room, everybody recognize that is the King O. That's King O, brother O. Recognize that, So, but somebody was trying to, question that, So I said, king, you don't question the king. But anyway, so and then I hear a voice from the kitchen to like, is that what your mother gave you? I'm like, okay, where is that smart man? Say, question King O, brother O, like, is that what your mother called you? I'm like, okay, since you know what my mother called me, why don't you go ahead and tell it? But so that's how the whole thing all started, So, but the rest was history. But that's how we got here today with three amazing baby and a lovely wife, and, So yeah, the smart man, get her, put her in this position while we're talking to you this lovely afternoon. So that was that was it. That's the King Go, Yep.
Amber, are you ready for my version of the story?
First of all, Sister Carla, let me say this. You put some pretty colors together. That outfit is really popping. Second of all, I can't wait because you're getting ready to unload some good stuff. I can't wait. Yes, ma'am. What is your size?
The Bible talks about prayer and supplication and patience. You heard a lot just now about who my husband is, but y'all don't even know where we were. We were at one of my best friend's houses. She was having a birthday party. She'd invited me to the birthday party, and she told me it was going to be an intimate gathering of friends. So I brought the tiniest little cake. It was literally this big around for like 7 of our closest girlfriends. But apparently she had invited like 20 other ladies and told them it was going to be a singles game night. And then she invited 20 men and told them it was going to be a fight party. And she's not a liar. She delivered on all of that. But I was standing in the kitchen in a maxi dress with my hair still up in a wrap. So I was not at all ready for anybody, let alone men, to start coming in.
Because
right?
hey, hold on.
I didn't know there'd be any men at this
party. You have to always be on time. That is my gift.
Amen.
You have to be on time. When you're on time, you're blessed.
And this has been a blessing that we have had for over 10 years. My husband trying his best to be on time and me being his blessing. So he showed up early, number one, with something to contribute, number two, okay? And was, oh my gosh, asking if he could help out in the kitchen. This had never happened at any of our singles ministry events ever. That men would be there on time, that they would bring food to want to help and then ask to help. So he made a splash for himself, but being there early was inconvenient because my hair was not done. So anyway, I was standing in the kitchen trying to help my friend cook, the final touches for this event. And I had no idea how many people were coming and who was coming, but here he comes. So he's introducing himself over there, talking about Brother O. And I just said, because he had an accent, which you can all hear. Oh, wow, is that your full name? He was like, yeah. I was like, okay, Brother O, yeah. Is that what your mama named you? And he looked, his eyes flashed like he was upset or something. I was like, I'm just asking because, my best friend from undergrad is Nigerian, and the guy I had a crush on in high school was Nigerian. So I just wanted to inquire. And so he said his name was Osirin. I said, oh, Osirin. And now he says it sounded like his mother was calling his name. I said it perfectly. he left that part of the story out. Anyway, from there, from there, things just evolved that evening into him saving a seat for me in the crowded room, and then him staying afterwards to help me clean up. It was just super sweet. And I was like, honestly, this dude's kind of annoying because he never answers any questions straight. And as a footnote, nothing about that has changed. So whatever you meet at the beginning is probably what you're gonna have at the end, just so you know.
You gotta understand, Jesus Christ said, I will destroy this temple and build it in 3 days. Are you saying Jesus Christ didn't answer that question?
And that's the kind of conversation we have had for the last 10 and a half years.
Continue.
Yes. So anyway, Amber, did we answer your question about how we met?
Absolutely, absolutely. In your question, I really like how you were willing to ask the honest question. Is that your mama? Is that the name your mama gave you?
Mhm.
And because a lot of times we may not do that. We're very much as women tend to try to think of everybody's feelings, but you showed up authentically, and I think that's important to point out. The next question: can you share with us what was your first impression of your spouse?
Ooh, I'm gonna let him answer this one, and I'll be making a device adjustment. What was your first impression of me, honey?
Okay, my impression was more of like the first the impression was him, saying that word, and it was natural. And I think that was for me because I'm an old school. It was natural. It was, that was the impression for me. So that was my impression because everything was natural. The everything was,
Oh, my
was,
hair. You like my natural hair?
it was natural, and everything was more like, people. I think that was for me. That was that impression to like, okay, yeah, you got smart mind. Okay, we see how this smart mind gonna help you.
Can you just say that again? Because I have never heard you say that. That part of your first impression was
say there's smart man is that, like I said, go back again. You don't question the king. When he said, brother, oh, everybody fall in line and say, brother, oh, you see what I'm saying? That right there to like, okay, let me, the pressure was like, okay, let me find out what she knows. Since she want to, don't want to fall in line with everybody else, I think that was the impression to like, okay, let me see what she made of.
So you married me so you could keep trying to see what I was made of?
Again.
Amber, can you guys still see us okay?
Yes, I can see you.
Perfect. And we're oriented the right way?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. We just had to make a device switch, but we are in the house.
So like I said, for me, that was just, that, like I said, I don't do no ice cream lover, and it's too soft for me. I'm old school. You see what I'm saying? I keep it straight and direct. So yes, I tell you straight and direct. Like I say, I give you the proverb to say, hey, this is what it is. But I might not tell you that, just like Christ entered there to say, okay, I destroyed this temple in 3 days, I will build it. To like, okay, what does that really mean? But you got to take more study to be able to understand what Christ was talking about, because they were, focusing on the physical building when Christ was talking about the spiritual, talking about his death. That, I'm die on the third day I go resurrect. They were like, how many years it took us to build this temple that you go to destroy and build in 3 days? I think that's where,
she might say, man, Daddy, I said, man, yes, I answer your question. When you hang out with Christ, we stay with Christ, you started talking like Christ, you make this parable to be able to know where, when you hang out with Christ, we make it parable. The more you hang out, the more you come to understand as you continue to study. But later on, people now find out, oh, it wasn't talking about the building, it was talking about his death. So
I just want to make sure y'all are catching all this, because he said, I'm not no ice cream kind of lover. That's too soft for me. Did y'all hear that? That need to be the lyrics of some 1970s
I don't
ballad.
do no ice cream lover. It's too soft for me. Go metal all over. I'll do that.
Oh my gosh.
Is that ice cream stuff? I'll do ice cream. I'm old school, the
So
big
he
little
mentioned his first impression of me. He was enamored by me being natural, keeping it real, and not falling in line and not answering his questions. I think I answered the questions. He's the one who doesn't answer questions. Okay. But I love it that he apparently wanted to follow me around for the rest of his life because I don't get in line. Like that's incredible. I look, you need to put that out there as one of the tips for how to get a man. Be non-compliant. That's hilarious. Well, my first impression of this man, number one, so handsome. Like, he came in there. Sorry. He likes to wear this white t-shirt and this blue crushed suede sweatsuit with Timberlands, and then claim to be from Chicago. Okay, that's what.
Shout out to the South Side. On my South Side.
Is it South City? Is that
South
South
Side
City?
Chicago? South Side.
Okay.
I'm from Chi-Town.
Is that the Wild Hundreds?
I'm right on Stony Island.
Stony Island. All right. Yeah.
Girl, so with this accent, he tried to tell me he was from Chicago and he was wearing the crushed velvet.
How do you define accent? People from Missouri talk different from people from Alabama.
That's true.
So what are you talking about?
That's true.
Continue.
And so anyway, he still has the crushed velvet suit, by the way. It's navy blue with gold, like tan accents. He still wears it on special occasions, but that's what he was wearing with his navy blue crushed velvet sweatsuit and his white t-shirt and his Timberlands. And I was just struck by like his beautiful dark skin and pure skin tone and the dark eyes. But I didn't see any of that for the first 6 hours, y'all. I'm serious. Like, he was just a man who came in, who doesn't answer questions straight and was getting on my nerves. Okay. So then the second thing was, he pretty much immediately started talking to me about God. He was like putting together scriptures and stories from God's word. I mean, it was like, name, where are you from? What do you do? None of those answers were answered with a straight answer. So then I said something rude to try to get him to go away. And then he started preaching. That's how we met. I was, excuse me, it's my turn. Thank you, darling. I was struck by his command of God's word and how readily accessible it was to him and how he wanted to use it in a sentence, in his initial 5-minute conversation with me. Right? Wasn't hiding behind anything. I don't think he was doing it simply because we were at a singles fellowship, with other Christians. Because I've seen him do this in the streets, today. It's just a part of what he reaches for, to make sense of everyday life, in the everyday world. And so I admire that about him. You know, when it comes to first impression, that really struck me. Footnote, he's still telling the same Bible stories the same way 10.5 years later. Okay. But we working on new material. Anyway.
Like they said, if it ain't broken, why are you gonna fix something that's not broken? The same attitude that they used to Peter preach on the day of Pentecost, we still preach today.
Amen.
Are you going to change it? Because
Amen.
we're not a new millennium or whatever you may call it, Jay-Z, Juicy, whatever you may call it.
Amen.
You're going to change us too because we're not Jay-Z, Juicy.
And then the third thing on my first impression was follow through and follow up. This brother was on it with the follow through and the follow up. So around 2 a.m, after he'd helped me wash all the dishes, dry them and put them away, okay, we're at this sister's house. They're all, like, she literally had 40 people in that house. Food, trash, everything, everywhere. I stayed up to help clean up and he stayed with me. Anything that needs to be put up, he put up. Anything that needs to reach down, he reached down. He stayed. I was like, okay. So time for you to go. He says, what do you say? I think I found a beautiful flower and I would like to get to know her better. And I asked God that if he would give me this beautiful flower, then I promised I would water it every day. And I was like, oh my gosh. All of a sudden, I saw a man. Like literally after sitting next to him for hours, my eyes opened like, oh, he is handsome, right? I gave him my number. He came by the next day to help eat the leftovers from the party. And then he literally called me every single day thereafter, like clockwork. And if he said he was going to do it, he did it. And if he said it was going to be at this time, it was at that time, you know, quite literally. And so I remember my mom asking me, well, what do you see in him? I said, he is so consistent. She looked unimpressed and uninspired. Like, that's boring. I tell you what, consistent is quite attractive around here. And it has really been that way for 10.5 years. So thank you, honey, for your follow-up and your follow-through.
Thank you.
That is so beautiful. One thing that's very clear is that you two are very much, you can see how energetically in sync that you two are. And when you made the comment about him, started to speak on scriptures and things like that when you all met, I was curious to know, did he have any reflections of your father? Did that kind of stand out from a spiritual standpoint?
You said, did Osiris remind me of my dad? As far as being,
particularly from the spiritual standpoint, when he started talking about, basically you said preaching, would you say that you saw some things there? Was that kind of connection there for you?
Absolutely. Soundness is so important to me. Deep conviction is important to me, right? Taking it seriously, having God be number one and center of your life, like those things were very, very important to me and honestly hard to find, right? At that time. And I imagine, just as hard, if not harder now. And hopefully you guys cannot hear my baby too loud in the background. She's not thrilled with the scenario where she can't get to her daddy whenever she wants. Sorry about that. Yeah, like that part is and was consistent. And that's definitely a foundation that my parents have laid for us about what it is we value in the world, And if I'm going to be linked with somebody for life,
that's a pretty high value, a very, very important part of the package, you know? And honestly, a few other preferences went by the wayside because that one is so strong and so important. We can talk about that. And thank you for saying we look energetically compatible. I love it, girl.
Yes, that's very, very apparent. Our next question is, how did you know that your spouse was the one for each of you?
Hubby, would you like to take this one first? I've been talking for a while.
Oh, okay. Like I said, I know for that very, day, it was not something that was for me. I would have not, stay or, stay in that conversation or get to know, more about who she is. Like I said, I just know at that moment, like, when I walk in there, when she make that comment, that is when I know that was it, because for me, she'll tell you, if I'm not interested in something, you can see from that to Jericho, and it's like you just go be talking to brick wall. If it's something, boom. Like I say, you can say it, but I mean, yeah, we left out so many stories. We left out North Carolina, California, Alabama, all that, Alaskan, whatever. For me, when as soon as she opened her mouth and all that, all the rest of them, yeah, I left out the part. They invite me to say, yeah, we got light-skinned sister that you might like. Come. Yeah, I left out that part in the beginning. So there's like, yeah, there's a light-skinned sister that, okay, we go introduce you to that you gonna like her. But like I said, all the stuff wasn't really matter to me,
So are you telling these sisters that I had you at, is your name really Brother O? Like you knew you were going to marry me at that point?
Let me say it again. Probably you guys didn't hear me.
We heard you. We're
That's
looking
what
for
I said.
clarification.
I just make it. That's why I go back again to the beginning. In the beginning, these things were established. Like I said, when I left I'll sit in the living room and come to the kitchen, then open to figure out like who opened his mouth. So that was when I said that was it. The other people, whatever was, it doesn't even feel like every other lady, exists in that room. Yeah, when you have a bunch of ladies asking whatever, they even see the matter. Sometimes some of them are kind of upset at me to like me, hey, you were here because of us. Why are you not in the kitchen?
Talking to Carla.
We didn't invite you for you to be in the kitchen. But again, like I said, I'm a straight shooter, I'm a straight shooter. I know what, if I see what I want, I go for it, so the rest doesn't, like I said, the rest was just like, wasn't existing to me at that moment.
Okay, Amber, can I ask a follow-up question? Mm-hmm.
So,
go ahead, girl. What were you saying?
okay, well, how did you know, it was getting serious and he was the one for you?
Yes. So as much as I was enamored that evening that we met, I did not know he was the one that evening when we met. He says he knew I was the one, which is great. So apparently love at first sight is real. Okay. But it wasn't real for me. I knew he was the one. Oh, honestly, I knew he was the one about 3 weeks later when I invited him to my law school graduation and my whole family was there. It was a big decision point because we did meet May 1st, right? And my graduation was May 23rd. So in these like 22 days, I was going to decide, is he coming around my family? Is he coming to this monumentous occasion for me, right? As a professional, I'm getting my law degree, I'm graduating, right? And I remember I talked about that follow up and follow through. We were talking like every day for 2-3 hours a day, for those 2 or 3 weeks. And I remember having a lot of consternation and a lot of angst, like, am I going to invite him to this thing with all my family, parents, aunties, grandmothers, sisters, cousins, woo, right? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm inviting him. He's an awesome dude. Just faithful, loving. He was saying all the right things at the time. I did later find some scraps of paper in his apartment where he had written things down that he was going to say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Apparently he had a team helping support him to get what he wanted. Anyway, we got some nuggets to drop, y'all. But that was a really pivotal moment. And then when we got to that graduation weekend, there was a difficult conversation with family about a family situation, right? Not he and I, but I went, to go meet with my parents. He walks me to the door. My parents open the door, and I'm turning to say bye to him, and have him leave or whatever. Because again, we've known each other for about 3 weeks at this point, and I'm gonna go in here and have this conversation with my parents. And my dad was like, "No, come on in, young man." So he comes in, and we are having an intense family discussion. And at one point, I start crying, and he reaches over and wipes the tears off my eyes. Like, wipes them off my face in front of my parents, who he has never met. And I was like, I don't know what we're discussing, but the next conversation is going to be about how we can make this a more permanent arrangement. So, like, touching, for him to be so tender towards me and to do that in front of my parents. And it didn't look like he was trying to put on a show for them. It was for me, but being very in the moment, coming to my aid emotionally. It was just really special. And then, my dad gave him an opportunity to speak at one point in the conversation, and the way he handled that, his tone, his advice, the way he put God's word in it, and spiritual counsel was just incredible, right? And so everyone leaves for graduation or leaves from the graduation. And my dad calls me back, and he's like, I don't know who that young man is, but he's somebody special, right? And I definitely think that had influence and impact, to have my dad say, that's a good dude, and so, yeah, you asked, how did I know he was the one? It really was that moment. And, again, that was all happening, in the first 3 weeks. And then I remember crying and blubbering, with this thought of like, oh my gosh, like I feel very strongly about this person, very strongly. And we really were at the 3-week mark. And then I was like, what if he steals my babies and runs off to Nigeria? Right? Because of all this junk that had been said to us and shared with us over the years. This cousin married a Nigerian and this is what happened. And that friend married a Nigerian and this is what happened. And, I was just flooded and overwhelmed with this fear and this, concern, but like, I was so clear about this man, and I distinctly remember that moment, just uncontrollable tears, like, oh my gosh, this is happening. This is real. and what could happen, and thank God, I moved forward in faith, and I'm stuck here like glue.
Sister Carla, I gotta ask this question as you were telling your story. Was there any, or how did you overcome second guessing or overthinking during that time? How did
Yes.
you do that? Like, what ages were you at that time?
Yes. Amber, I'm so glad you said second guessing and overthinking, because that was the name of the game for me 100%. And I did that multiple times between knowing he was the one and marrying him, you know? So I was 27 when we met. Yeah. And I literally just finished my last law school class the Friday before. I would drive down to DC that Saturday, May the 1st, and this is where I meet this man. So, was preparing for a professional career, all that, was going to have to study for the bar all that summer. But yeah, that's the point where I met him. And so I was 27, that made him 36 when we met. Yeah. You see my old man? Should I do a zoom in on my old man? Hey, old man. Don't he look good? Yeah. So yeah, and then we got married. I was 29, like 2 months before I turned 30, and he was 38. Yep.
So how did you move through the overthinking to
Yeah.
get to the place that, okay, we're going to secure this?
Yeah, gosh. So, in the middle, it was really challenging, and I want to speak up for that aspect of it, marrying someone from a different culture, different background, right? Me, our family, my dad goes back at least 7 generations, in the United States. My mom goes back at least 7 generations in the United States. So all of our family is blackety black, right? Descendants of slaves, who helped build this country. And we don't know anything beyond the first person stepping off the slave ship, And I mention that because so many of us now are like, West African, Caribbean, whatever, like all we know is Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, Kansas, for generations. So in comes, and he came to the United States in his early 20s, right? Born in Benin City, Nigeria. So in comes the influx of old folks to tell me stories, of what it meant to marry a Nigerian, and that was the biggest part for me, honestly. It was trying to defend, trying to explain, but then also having my own worries because there were so many stories, like what's real, what's not. It was really challenging, right? And that was happening outside our relationship. Inside our relationship, Mr. Consistent follow up and follow through, I ain't no ice cream kind of lover, was like boring. He just said laid back. What a nicer way to put it, right? But like, so I was wondering, like, well, when is he gonna bring the flowers? When is he gonna play the soft music and try to sweep me off my feet? When is he gonna buy me stuff and say sweet nothings and right? All these sweet, wonderful things that I've been watching on the movies, he wasn't about. Can I tell this one just really quickly? One time, this dude said, "You want some flowers? I'll get you the fake flowers because then they'll last forever." Oh my gosh. Cancel, right? Like, so practical,
Keep it right.
so consistent, so timely, So I'm right here next to you, for you, holding your hand, walking you through, driving you, right? I'm here for you. He wasn't about no frills and no thrills. And so those two things, right? Outside the cultural stuff, inside the like no frills. I'm like, now is this for me? Right? Is this the one? And then every time he'd come through consistent, you know? So anyway, Amber.
So let me, this actually walks into the next question about your expectations before marriage and how have they changed, if they change?
What were my expectations before marriage and have they changed?
Yes, what were each of your expectations coming into the marriage about, about marriage? And then did any of your expectations change once you got into the marriage?
Yeah. Hubby, you get the first.
Okay. Move out of there. Tell them I'm busy. I'm not home right now. Okay.
Sorry, y'all. Life be lifing.
So when we're talking about expectation, see again, I go back to my roots, and to say when we come to Christ, he never said he go roll the red carpet for us. He said, are you ready to pick up this cross? Son of man have nowhere to lay his head. Are you sure you want to follow me? I told him, I think it was our first, after we met, our first day, I told him, listen, if you're looking for a brand new vehicle, you got the wrong person. I'm a used vehicle. So take it or you leave it. Don't come tomorrow and say you want to return it back. No. Once you take this used vehicle, that I keep it real. Once you take this used vehicle, that means you're going to be taking it to shop all the time. Are you going to buy it or not? See, for me, I think that's I'm different. I know how you see. That's why I say I don't do no ice cream lover. I don't do no. It's too soft for me. I go come to the chase to say, hey, this is used car. Told him right from that first day. Don't come back the next day. You say, it's a used car. What does used car mean? You gotta take it to the shop all the time. You gotta keep fixing it. You never done fixing a used car, and you not go get a brand new car out of me because I'm a used car. So what do I mean by that is that the expectation, when we're talking about expectation, a lot of folks fall out of faith because of our expectation. God does not give us our expectation. God, if I become a follow God, I go have this, go to this, go boom, 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 boom. God is saying, no, I'm giving you all that because I never asked. It's right there in black and white. Son of man have nowhere to lay his head. I never say when you become a Christian, it go be red carpet. Are you ready to drink of this cup? Are you ready to carry this cross? I think that is all that is. See, my advice is always is that don't want to build something into something that is not, because we have this mindset, the grass is always green on the other side. Then where we struggle, we try to want to compare. But look at this person is doing this. Why can't you want to be like this? How don't you want to be like this? How don't you want to be like this? Like I always go back to let my wife know that when Christ chose the 12, he gave them different talent. He could have given them the same talent. He did not. Because he understands each and every one of them. He knows Peter going to deny him 3 times. Does that stop you from giving Peter the key? It does not. He said to Peter, but Peter said, Lord, I will die with you. But God said, yeah, Peter, you go deny me 3 times. I know your strength. I know your weakness. I'm not focusing on your strength. I'm going to focusing on your weakness. Here's the key. You're going to start, open this kingdom. You go preach the first gospel. So what am I saying? We get into all these things because of the most of the fairy tale things that we see on TV. We see people prove not show, fake it or you make, fake it until you make it. I don't use that logo. I don't do that. I don't fake anything. I just keep it real, because When you want to fake something, you make a lot of mistake. When you fake, now you want to cover up, now you want to cover up, now you want to cover up. At the end of the day, you don't even know who you are anymore. So I'd rather be who I am, like I said to my wife, man, baby, don't let nobody define you. Define yourself and stand by it. People may not like you, but they will respect you. They may not like you, but they will respect you. They're like, man, no, they will go there. She's not going to do that. They don't like you, but they will respect you. Because our problem is we want everybody to like us. We want everybody to like us. That becomes our problem. So my answer to my solution to that is no. Don't want anybody to like you. You want people to respect you. When you define yourself and stand on that and make sure, define yourself and be respectful. I'm not saying go out there and disrespect people. That's not what I'm talking about. You define yourself. People know where you stand. They may not like it, but they'll come back to respect you. See, I think that is for when we're talking about expectation and all that. And, we have to be satisfied with whatever God bless us with, because most of the time we want to be like the Jones and the Johns with chicks and everything, all that. Well, it's kind of more of like a competition. Become more of a competition. I said to my wife, I said, when I was growing up, when 10 of us would go to mall, it's only one of us that would buy jeans. Let me say that again. 10 of us, we leave home, we go up there. Guess what? It's just one of us that go to buy jeans. The rest of us, we know, we just like, hey, boom, we walk back home. But the society have, turned us around and that, so when we're talking about, I know you asked my wife, kind of go back again to about the culture, about the stuff and all that, yes, because I understand that the media have done a very good job to put Africa as a place that, the dirty, sickness, disease, there's nothing, just like what is it? Is there anything good come out of Nazareth? Is there anything come out of Nazareth? But the point I say to people is that we live right here in Houston. Like my wife, we're talking like we're more like okay, we go say south of I-10, whatever. So when we go across the street, you can't even go there. I say this is the United States. And remember when my sister came in, when she saw homeless, she was like, are we in the US? I said, yes, welcome to the United States. There's homeless all over the whole street. She said, but this is not what we see on TV. I said, yeah, good luck. So the point I'm saying is that we focus on the bad, we go back again to the worst place in Africa and put that on the map for people to see. We go back again, the worst thing about Africa. I'm just one person from Nigeria, to like, yes, the Nigerian people have problems. Yes. The people from Alabama have problems. Yes. The people from Louisiana have problems. Yes. The last time I checked, people from Louisiana put their wife on insurance and kill it and collect that money. We tend not to say anything about that. No, wait a minute. The last time I checked, the capital city of sponsor those little girls, what did they call them? Pimp, the capital city of Pimp. It's Atlanta.
Okay.
No. The point I'm saying is that when we see all this stuff, when we're talking about slavery and everything, the capital city of selling gas, they go faster than pizza. When you want to order, who should go come faster? The little girl will come faster than pizza. So what am I saying? We say all that to poison each other's mind. I've said that to say is that why don't you go there and go see for yourself instead of listening to people?
Yeah.
So she was amazed when she get to Nigeria. she, you know, I mean, she traveled, get to like, oh, now, you know, we make a job like, man, listen, you know, we sleep on top of the tree. So I'm taking you to the tree so that we can go sleep on top of the tree. You know, so I said that to advise people is that the most beautiful place in the world is the motherland, it's Africa.
And some of the most beautiful people.
You know,
and some of the most beautiful men.
So I said that to encourage our brothers and sisters is that in every family, you know, we always say this, in every family, we only have that uncle that we kept in the basement who doesn't want nobody to see. No. Come on now.
Anyway, just like he didn't really answer your question about what he expected from marriage, he didn't answer that question when I asked him that question 10.5 years ago either. And in some ways, it's been my privilege to have a man with very few expectations of me, to be honest. You know, I appreciate you. But on the other hand, we went into a conversation that he and I value very much and prioritize and actually do want to put out here on this particular platform, that maybe we should rethink some of the ways we think about people from other cultures, from other backgrounds, from other continents, you know, especially quote unquote Africa, which is a huge continent with 54 different countries, you know, and, you know, we talk anyway, there's so much there, and there's so much diversity. So, you know, our goal is for us to just respect people, right? And give them a chance to be people, you know? So let me try to give the short version of what I expected. Okay. I expected my husband to try to control me and have a long list of expectations for what it would be for me to be a wife. I expected him to, there might be some conflict regarding my needs, wants, desires, and his. You know, I expected Sunday dinners, you know, where I would cook and he would smile and be, you know, tell me how wonderful it was. And I expected sweet nothings and romantic words and, you know, romantic situations all the time. You know, that's what I expected. And I think we already gave you the preview. He is not at all interested in controlling me at all. I think.
I told you from day one, I'm not in business to change anybody.
Yeah, I joke that he's so committed to not being controlled by anyone that he don't have no preferences or expectations of anyone else, as long as he is able to be left alone, you know, so he can do what he wants to do, you know. And gosh, it was challenging in those first 3 years to just understand, like, does this mean he doesn't care? Does this mean he's not invested? You know, like, why doesn't he show more interest in my comings and goings? You know, and no, like, he's very invested. He cares. He'll call and check on me, you know, but he's not trying to control my movements, you know, and I am grateful, beyond grateful. And I don't cook on Sundays. He does the majority of the cooking. And what was that other thing that I expected? Oh, the sweet nothings and the romance and all that. We're working on it.
Okay, let me just say this, you know, let me say this, is that, you see, when we're talking about, you know, expectation, we're talking about change, but we got to understand the way God, when God designed us, He designed us to be independent, and it designed us to be to be a partner.
Mm.
Yes, the Bible says the husband will rule over the wife. And Sarah referred to Abraham as Lord, but it's not talking about the physical Abraham. It's talking about the spiritual Abraham. So we have to come to understand that is that whatever God is required of us, it's not a transition to like, since you don't do this, I'm not going to do that. That's not how God set it up. I can't say because you didn't do this, I'm not going to do what God required of me to do, because now we take relationship as a transaction stuff, just more like if I don't like AT&T, I just go to Verizon. If I don't like Verizon, I just go to T-Mobile. You see? But again, hold on. That's why I say I don't do no ice cream. So when we come with that mindset, when we shift away from the way God set it up, that is the reason why we are in this situation, we are in this mess. In order for us not to be in this mess, we have to go back again in the beginning.
In the beginning.
So many things happen, and God said, because of the wickedness of your heart, I allowed Moses to do this. But Christ said, in the beginning, it wasn't so. So yes, the point I'm making is that when God set it up, He wants us to be together and want us to be there. See, that's why it's always going to be a conflict, because God does not create man for man to rule over man. That's why you always see that it's always that conflict, So at the end of the day, God created man, He created woman, and there are certain things as a woman, you just go, as a man, I cannot breastfeed baby. I'm not wired that way. I can't breastfeed baby. God designed a woman to nurture, to breastfeed. God does not design me to breastfeed. You see what I'm saying? So when we try to change that become a problem. So my perspective always is that if we just leave it the way God set it up in the beginning, it will be a blessing for us. And we all have to examine ourselves. We all have something that we struggle with. And we have to move away from the stuff that we struggle with and try to focus on the stuff that can bless us, that can help us. Because majority of the time we focus on our weakness. Now we're fighting over our weakness when we can use our strength. Because if we focus on our strength, at the end of the day, we will remember if we have weakness. Because again, the environment, the society, we allow the society to define for us. Like the old saying, if a man finds a snake and the woman kill it, what difference does it really mean? Does it really mean that the man have to kill the snake?
Okay, let Amber ask her next question. I'm sure there are a lot of women in here who be like, yes, he has to kill the snake. I'm not killing no snakes.
Points, I think it's going to walk us into the next question, which is about the challenges. What are how did you all work through your challenges to the point that no one walked away? How did you manage those challenges to where you did not walk away?
Is this before we got married or in the marriage?
In the marriage.
Okay. Well, one thing I would like to say is our marriage is still a living, breathing, evolving organism. Okay. Praise God, we have not walked away, right? We're at year 10 and a half. Praise God. And I don't have any plans or expectations that we will, but I wanted to put it there, right? Like as we're experiencing Joy, I'm just tickled by this man today, right? And I'm just like, he's amazing. Oh my gosh, I love everything he says. He's got all the best jokes, right? Like all of that is real right now in this moment, right? This dude, the dude, okay? And I think we've been on a platform before where we were like, I ain't feeling him today. We were probably just arguing right before we got on. We're going to continue the argument afterwards, right? So Amber, right? Like in the vein of keeping it real, marriage being a living, breathing, evolving organism, our prayer is that he keeps giving us our daily bread, right? And sustaining this unit, this marriage, you know, every single day, you know, and giving it more of what it needs. So why I didn't walk away during our honeymoon when he didn't want to go anywhere and do anything. And I went horseback riding by myself, parasailing by myself, zip by myself. So disrespectful. 10.5 years later for you to give deuces. Honeymoon, okay? When everybody thinks based on the music on the TV
But you
that
gotta
it's supposed to be
understand,
roses and
they didn't
flowers.
send me to America to come and die.
Okay, so I married a practical, consistent, faithful man. We've made that point. Therefore, he doesn't go ziplining. Okay, but that was, when you think about points where one considered walking away, right? On the honeymoon, I realized he's not trying to do everything I'm trying to do, and I'm going to be doing a lot of things solo, and this isn't what it looks like on TV. You know, like this is weird, right? That was a major point of consternation for me. You know, it was hurtful. And probably, you know, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have even mentioned it because I would have been embarrassed, right? What it means for me to have been doing so many solo activities on my honeymoon. And I don't know how you guys feel about it, you know, but I'll tell you, I feel great about it because I now understand, like, we were never supposed to be joined at the hip. You know, we are not codependent. You know, we are not in an unhealthy relationship where his presence is required everywhere or mine is required everywhere. Or I need to check up on him for every conversation he has or every room that he's in. You know, he's not controlling, you know, and I'm thankful, right? So I didn't walk because I didn't think it would be a good look for our marriage to be over in the first 2 weeks. That's the short answer, Amber. And I did have a good time parasailing and ziplining and horseback riding by myself. Okay. You want to talk about a decision point for you?
No, it's not. See, for me,
where you decide to stay with me?
No, see, again, for me, it's more of like, you know, so that go back again to like, yeah, we won at the same time we are independent. Okay, let me.
I'm just saying, you don't need to explain to them.
No, I understand
why
that.
we're independent. You should tell them when you thought about leaving me.
No.
And why you stayed.
No, I never I never thought, you know, that never a thought for me because I understand that life go through this 3 seasons. You have the spring, you have the winter, and you have the summer.
In the United States, we have 4 seasons, honey.
Okay, again, okay. Where I come from is 3 seasons. Okay, anyway, 4 seasons, 5 seasons. But the point is, this is the point. The point is that you have up, you have down, you know, because again, go back again when Christ said, when you decide to follow me, these are the things that are going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. Remember when God sent Moses back again to Egypt, he said, Moses, I'm sending you, but these are the things that are going to happen. I go harden the heart of Pharaoh. I'm sending you this job. I'm giving you everything, but at the same time, I'm gonna make it difficult for you. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going? Okay.
Husband.
Yeah.
When have I made it difficult for you?
Hold on. Listen, no, the point I'm saying that what we're talking about life is that this is going to happen no matter what it is. You got to always look at the bigger picture. You got to look at the bigger picture. Sometimes you got to take a step back to say, okay, let me go work on myself.
Ooh.
You see, I have to take a step back. Let me go work on myself. For me, I hope to share this with other people. My greatest problem is not the devil, it's me. Because if I allow the devil to use me, the devil is going to use me. Ooh. If I take myself out of the picture and let God be God, I'll do better.
Amen.
But when I decide that I want to make it about me, I go have bigger problems. Wow. So if I, understanding all that, and understanding where I'm coming from my background and all that, no, because my father never walked away. Why would I?
Okay. You're amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. We got it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
You remember that time where I was like, get out of our house?
Mm-hmm. Because again, that was the devil talking.
Yeah.
That's what remember when Peter said something. What did Christ say to Peter? Say, Peter, that's not you talking. Oh, he said it was the devil talking.
So basically,
see, but the point again, you were using the society talking point. That does not register for me. I'm a strong African man. See, all those talking points does not work for me.
Amber, I said it's a living, breathing organism. The marriage is a living, breathing, evolving organism. Yeah. But you heard it here today that apparently I can't get rid of him. Because when I say get out of my house, it's not me talking, it's Satan. Mm-hmm. So he's going to double down on sticking by my side. Amen.
I hear what you're saying. I really want to jump in here because there was some really good points and definitely good points to come from a male perspective. I have a couple questions left, so I want to get to that, but I definitely want to ask Brother O to unpack when he said, take myself out. We don't hear a lot of men just in general say that. So my question is, to get to that point, to come to a realization, was that a strengthening point, or did that take a little bit of it struck a little bit, don't feel good, but it's the truth?
It's a struggle. It's never, see, doing the right thing at that moment is never a thing that feel good, because we be in the environment that sees things from good and evil, right? Mm-hmm. And we as human, because of the pride, the shame, the ego, and all that. When all that is there, you have to, it's a constant struggle, it's a constant fight that you have to keep fighting against all this stuff. Remember when Paul said, there are things that I want to do, I don't do the things I don't want to do, I do them. Mm-hmm. That is the sin that lived in me. It's a battle. When you see these two forces fighting every day, it's a battle because the sin is so comfortable. You see what I'm saying? It makes you feel good at that moment, but you got to look at the bigger picture. When you look at the bigger picture, to be able to come to understand that, for you to be able to come to understand that it's not an easy stuff, but it's a process. It's a thing that you have to keep working on it every day. It's a process. Just like, when God said to, is it Jose to say, to go marry a prostitute. This today, we say it's a preacher. How you as a preacher, as a man of God, You look everywhere, couldn't find a wife, you go to the prostitute and go marry a prostitute. Not just marry the prostitute and she keep going back. God keep telling you, go back again, go clean, bring her and clean her up. Go back again, bring her and clean her up. You know, again, for you to be able to do that is by His grace. To be able to walk through that, for you to be able to go through that process, you have to be able to walk with God, to be able to understand God, to be able to have a heart, to be able to understand that it's not about me. Whenever I make it about me, I lose. You know, like I always tell to my, you know, when I have a conversation with my boys, to be able to tell them is that the reason why Moses did not step into the promised land, Moses commit murder. That wasn't what stopped Moses when he disobeyed God. When God said, speak, Moses strike. God said, oh, is it about you? Is it about me? When did this become about you? I think that is a struggle. We want to get the glory. God said, the glory belongs to me. See, that happened in our relationship. That happened in every part of our life. When I say I want to get the glory, God going to smack me. Just as He smacked Moses. He said, Moses, yes, the promised land, you're not going to step into it. I said to my boys again, I said, you don't want to see the ugly side of God. I said, if you want to see the ugly side, go ask Jonah. When Jonah tried to tell God what to do, those people, they ain't right. Those people from Nigeria, they ain't right. God is saying, I know they ain't right. That's why I sent you down there to go marry that they ain't right Nigerian man. Yeah, all those things that you're talking about, I already know that. That's why I want you to go marry that Nigerian man. So what am I saying? We let God be God. We come to understand that. When we come to understand that, our life, you know, we can enjoy the blessing and the beauty of it. Is it easy stuff? No, it's not. But it's an everyday thing. We just go keep working on it. Keep working on it. At the same time, we have to be patient.
Amber, I'll try to answer your question. You were asking about men who struggle with right? Who struggle with
coming
this
to that
idea.
awareness.
Go ahead.
Yeah, coming into that awareness of, you know, the change and things that they, you know, may see of themselves in terms of their contribution to the relationship and compromise and things like that. Yeah.
So everything he said was amazing and on point. He's very, very patient with me, you know, in the global, right? High level. Day to day, he's difficult. He's arrogant and prideful. His ego is big and gets in the way. And he's so cute. That's the problem. So my best advice is to marry the cutest possible man that you can, so that you'll be willing to put up with this stuff.
So let me jump in and ask the question. We have 2 more questions left. So let me jump in and ask the questions. Looking back on your younger self, how would you have coached your younger self in preparation for a godly marriage? What would you have said? How would you have coached him, and how would you have coached her?
Wow. Your short version.
So I would coach it to like stay close to God, listen to God, and be careful who you listen to or where you get your advice from, because that is the most dangerous part. Not everybody that wish you well. A lot of people just giving you advice to turn you away because misery love misery. Because those people might say, girl, we love you, we stand beside you, just let that food go. You know, like I said, listen to God. You know, when you listen to advice, look at it from the perspective as a fisherman. When the fisherman casts that net into the sea, it will bring out so many things. You have to be able to pray for God for wisdom, to be able to discern, to pick out the good one and let the bad one go.
Because you had some people in your ear too, right? I'm telling you about that Black American girl and how she was going to take you for a ride.
You know,
right?
So again,
I'm
yeah,
just,
no,
I'm
no,
just
understand.
asking you to
See,
be
yeah,
honest.
no. See, the point is this. Yeah, again, that's what I'm saying. That's why I use that feature. People say, man, no, don't do that, don't do that. I say, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I hear what you say. Okay, that is very, very good. But again, you go back and say, God, what do you want from me?
Would you also, thank you, honey. Would you
Okay.
also have told your younger self to listen to more love songs and become more romantic, practice your smooth lines?
You know, yes. I would tell my, like I say, I would tell my younger self to listen to, listen to younger old school more song like the Big Lou. Don't listen to Little Lou. Listen to Big Lou. They have that quality of what life is all about. Yeah, I tell myself to listen. It's not always about you right. It's about you have to give up something. I'll tell my younger self is that you have to give up something, walk away, give up something. It's not about you can be right and be miserable and be wrong and be happy. That's what I'll tell my younger self.
Oh, thank
All
you.
right, Sister Carla.
I would tell my younger self, girl, you are awesome. You are worthy. You're amazing. You're beautiful. And you need to trust yourself and trust your relationship with God in making this decision. Kim and I were talking about this the other day, like part of the good girl coaching was teaching us not to trust our gut, not to go on our feelings. And there's power in that. There really is, for a time and for a season, to get this young lady past, frankly, the hormonal season, right? But then we have to figure out how to reconnect her to her gut, to her desires, to her wants, to her needs, because that's the only way she can have an intimate relationship with God, right? He's talking to her through her gut and her feelings, her heart. Dr. Anita Phillips said it the other day, so amazing. Hope starts in the heart. It's a feeling. It's not in your mind, right? But in the Good Girl Handbook, right, we're supposed to be logical and intellectual and not emotional. And so in so many ways, we disconnect ourselves from having a deep and full understanding of God and the concept of hope, right? And so I'm putting that out there because I did know this was my husband in the first 3 weeks, right? And I didn't need anybody else to speak in on that. But I went around asking everybody for their opinion and their insight and their wise counsel, right, about this man and whether I should marry him and, what that would mean and what that would look like, and the scripture says in the midst of much counsel, there is wisdom, right? I believe that 100%. The question is, how do we apply it, right? And there are perverted ways to apply it that just amount to people pleasing. That's it. You're just trying to get certain people to sign off because you want to please them. And in so doing, you're putting your wants, needs, and desires on the shelf, and you're blocking God's ability to have a clear conversation and communion with you. So that's huge. I picked up so many wounds and so much baggage, in the 27 months between meeting him and marrying him, that still is poison in our marriage today, because it's poison in my mind, right? And it didn't need to be there. It hasn't helped anything. It hasn't profited us, And so that's what I would put out there, is trust yourself. He made you beautiful, amazing, wonderful. You have committed your way into the Lord for your entire life, right? And that's baseline, y'all, is that we commit our way into the Lord and that we do it his way, period. And we don't try to take shortcuts or rationalize or whatever. But once you're that woman who has committed her way into the Lord, right, and your desire is to please God, then you're going to have to revisit what you want and who you are and what you like, and be honest with God about that so that he can direct your path, honestly. So that's what I would have said to the younger version of myself. Trust yourself. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sister Carla, you just did a very beautiful job of explaining, giving a illustration on how it's so easy to go around and ask everybody permission to feel what you feel.
Woo.
And what you really did was really show and made a case for, you got to vote for you. You got to show up for you. So you did a very beautiful job on that, on explaining
Amen.
that and breaking that down.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let Amber ask her question, baby.
Last question, closing remarks. First of all, thank you all so much for your time today. You all, your story is a beautiful demonstration on bringing cultures together, on bringing the families together, the importance of having the Holy Scriptures embedded in your life, and how that comes. You all said that in so many different ways, and how it comes in bringing your energies together and building your foundation. It was just a lot. You all brought a lot to the table today, and in making this a demonstration. So thank you so much for your transparency and being authentic. And it's important that the viewers from years to come to be able to see such genuineness and what the truth is. And that's what you all brought today. So in the last question, very, very brief, is what would you all give closing words to singles that desire a godly marriage?
okay. What I would say to people out there, those single that do it God's way, and make sure that you listen to God and be careful who you listen to, because that is very, very important. And my advice to them would be you have to be able to pray to God, to be able to know that even those that call themselves ministers, you still have to understand that they're human. They have bias, right? So I still have ministers that told my wife not to marry me. This is a preacher, Church of Christ, because I'm in Nigeria. You forget that we both brother and sister. He didn't say that. He did not see me as a spiritual brother. He see me as what is wrong with Nigeria. You see what I'm saying? You have to be very, very careful.
A spiritual brother who was baptized when he was 13 took himself to church every Sunday, faithful, committed, continuous commitment to God, track record over 30 years. Anyway.
No, I see the point I'm saying is that, for me, it's not really how long I've been in the family of God. If we say we are in the family of God, but you cannot see that, you let your bias blind you. Yes, Peter had the same issue, but Paul, thank God for Stephen, where Paul come around like, you don't have to be a Jewish to become a Christian. So see, we as a Christian, that bias is something that we have to pull away. We have to reach into God's word to say, this is your brother, this is your sister. We have to be careful when you go in front of those so counsel, whatever you want to talk about, that have those bias that is in the faith. You have to be very, very careful when you deal with, because this is, it's not like, oh, they told me. No, this is what happened to me, because the focus on me was, I'm in Nigeria, where we both are the both army of Christ fighting in the same army, but you can't see that. You focusing on where I was born. I'm not going to apologize for that, because that is where God put me. That's where God, So I just want to say that to the younger one, to be very, very careful. Go back again to who they listen to, because a lot of people have never stepped out of their comfort zone, does not even know what they're talking about outside of what they see on TV. You don't want to listen to people like that. You want to be able to listen to people that have been there, have done the work, have traveled, have seen all these different backgrounds. You cannot go sit with somebody that just sit there on this little corner that haven't been anywhere. So that's my advice to them. Go ahead. Go ahead, Maggie.
What I would say to a single woman specifically desiring to be married is be honest about that and don't give up on it, right? And specifically, be bold and courageous about it. So I was on a live yesterday, I think it was, where they were referring to a TED Talk about how we teach girls to be perfect and we teach boys to be brave. And it was like, why can't we just teach girls to be brave, not perfect, right? And I honestly believe bravery is a part of my story in getting with this dude from the very first moment when I said, oh, well, were you named O? Is there more behind that, right? And I had that bravery because I wasn't caring, right? I just finished law school and I was, feeling great about that, getting ready, to take the bar or whatever. And I, 6 months, a year, 2 years earlier had been awkward Annie in many, many interactions with men, so some of that just like shedding the awkwardness, getting in your best headspace, where you can just be brave. And with bravery is authenticity, right? Not perfection. What are they going to think about me? They might just think your nappy hair is incredible, and your wide hips are amazing, but all of our, body image hangups and, oh, I'm too big right now. My hair is this, whatever, that causes us not to even look someone in the eye at the grocery aisle, speak, just show up fully, right? I want to put out there, like, if you desire to be married, be brave, be bold. And that goes to the shy woman and the introvert as well. I'm not trying to turn you into me, and have you have an extroverted, gregarious personality. I don't think I am married because I'm an extrovert. No, plenty of beautiful, fabulous people, who are married, who are introverted. I may be married to him because I'm an extrovert, or whatever. But the idea of being brave and bold in a way that's consistent with your personality is really, really important. And it does go back to basically authenticity. I want this. And so I'm going for it. That's kind of the third part. I think women should go for it when it comes to getting what they want out of love and marriage. Go for it. Don't be waiting on the sideline waiting for this dude to whatever. And in that same vein, this dude was very clear that he wanted to be married. I don't know who he was or what he was doing 6 months before he met me, 6 years before he met me. I don't know how many fumbles he made or how many women's lives, were hung up waiting for him to get it together. But when he met me, he knew that he wanted to be married. And so we didn't have any like playtime waiting and trying to convince him, to be ready to be married, And so that's just another piece of it. It's like when I say go for it, sis, because that's what you want. Do not wait on him to quote unquote find you. I don't believe in that. It doesn't make any sense. When y'all get together or find one another, right, then he needs to take the lead on being clear about what it is he wants 100%. It's never going to work any other way, right? I'm not inviting you to chase him forever, right? Or even chase him at the beginning. But the idea that he's going to find you while you're sitting in your house eating ice cream, right, makes no sense. Just doesn't. So be bold, be brave, be authentic, go for it. Be honest if this is what you want, and then go for it.
Awesome. This is wonderful. We greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate you all. Has the recording stopped?
It looks like it's still recording.
It's still recording. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
I know,
We normally
Kim.
would ask questions.
Okay.
Go ahead, ask your question. Let's see what Dr. O can do for you.
My God. Amber, are you guys comfortable asking questions on the recording, or would you prefer the recording to stop?
Typically the recording stops so that people can ask, the audience could ask.
Awesome.
And
well, thank you all so much for having us. It's been a blessing to be here, while we're still being recorded. We live in Houston, Texas. We're members at the Fifth Ward Church of Christ, and we do have 3 amazing little kids, 9, 7, and 2. And we just pray that God continues to bless us to be a light in his kingdom. And y'all pray for us, and pray for our kids, and pray for everything concerning us, because the prayers of the righteous availeth much. And this request for prayer is not because anything particular is going on right now. It's just like in humility, right? Everything that feels amazing right now, we want it to be preserved, and we know that is by prayer. So yeah.
okay.
Amber.
So I take it if there are not any questions, I guess.
Yeah, we don't charge, it's free.
No one? I don't see anyone raising their hands, or if there's any questions in the chat. If not. Okay. Well, we typically conclude. We want to thank you so much. We don't have any additional questions from the audience. So we will look on YouTube, on the Jesus Sprinkle channel. Again, it's just so important to document the stories, to be out there to show how God brings 2 souls, spirits, his children together in terms of marriage, and that he can still get the glory, be the center, and still guide the marriages there. So if not, I think we will conclude this afternoon. So I want to thank everybody for coming out.
Thank you for hosting, Amber. Thank you all for having us here at Jesus Sprinkle, and God bless you.
All right, the same to you all. All right, you all enjoy your weekend.
Okay,
So.
bye.